Thank you very much, our moderator. My apologies for coming a little bit late. I was on the line with my bosses. The Right Honorable Professor Aaron Mike Okwe, Speaker of Parliament, Republic of Ghana, Commissioner Wei Dohie, Liberia Governance Commission, and I was made to understand that you are here to represent President Amos Sawyer, who could not join us because of the unfortunate development with respect to the sudden falling ill of his dear wife. My brother and friend, Dominic Sam, the UNDP Country Director, Professor Adebayo Olukosi, Regional Director, International Idea for Africa and the Middle East, Honorable Ministers and senior government officials here present, colleagues from the UN family, friends from the civil society, the academic community, and the legal practitioners, distinguished participants, all protocols observed. Amid your very busy schedules, with some of your activities related to the Assembly of Heads of States of the UN General Assembly to address global challenges and the world order, as well as national and regional events, I am very grateful to you for having been able to make the time to be with us here, and for some of you to make the journey to Ghana in honor of UNDP and IDEA's invitation for this very important and timely high-level dialogue on the future of governance in Africa. Your presence here is a true testament, according to my view, of your full appreciation of the primordial importance of governance to sustainable development of any country, not only in Africa, but throughout the world. I believe that given the nature of the subject, your presence here also reflects your strong desire not to sit on the sidelines whilst the narrative and the path for future governance of Africa. Before proceeding, allow me to thank particularly the Honorable Speaker of the Ghanaian Parliament, Right Honorable Professor Aaron Mike Okwe, who, despite his very busy schedule, has stayed by our sides, has given us valuable guidance, encouragement, and support for the organization of this conference. Right Honorable Speaker, we are truly grateful to you. I would also like to thank my friend and colleague Dominic Sam, as well as the UN Resident Coordinator and UNDP Resident Representative to Ghana, Christine, for the tremendous substantive and logistical support we have received from the Ghana Country Office in the organization of this event. Honorable Speaker, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that at no other time is the topic of our discussion the future of governance in Africa and the importance of governance for sustainable development to the people of Africa. more critical than now. Ghana has demonstrated from the earliest days of its independence that good governance matters a great deal in getting the right development results. Strong vision and leadership at the political level, a vibrant parliament, a strong government backed by high-quality public service, contributing to the design and implementation of development policies, responsive local governance mechanisms, and adherence to basic human rights have contributed to the transformation of Ghana into the modern entrepreneurial nation that we know of today. As many of you are aware, in that process, Ghana has shown an ability to reinvent itself continually to meet new challenges. The capacity to keep doing that is related to the principle of governance, and we will come to that shortly. The President himself has noted that last year's election campaign and the results show that Ghanaians want their politics to evolve, to become more consultative and inclusive. Ghanaians want to be engaged in shaping their future and want the government to be more responsive to their immediate needs, end of quote. So as Ghana evolves, I believe it is likely to address decisively the challenges which have emerged to its current governance and development model, not least the rising inequality and move to greater encouragement of its people in pursuing equitable and sustainable development. I dwelt a little bit more than usual, probably, on the Ghanaian case because I believe that it illustrates the path that governance has taken in our continent since independence, the current state of affairs, and what we should anticipate in the future. So for all these reasons, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that Accra is a highly appropriate place for us to meet today and tomorrow to assess the region's development achievements, anticipate the challenges, understand the critical importance of governance to those processes, and begin to reflect more decisively on the future of governance in Africa. Right Honorable Speaker, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at UNDP, we see development in Africa today framed by two parallel, yet contradictory trends. And before I go into that, I would like to note that since independence, the UN system has been a valuable partner to Africa in charting the most appropriate governance processes. When we look back, we should be proud of important achievements, but our attention is also drawn to the challenges that the continent has faced and that will continue to face over the next years. So thinking about these trends that I have just mentioned, I think we've all noted from the Africa Rising narrative that the continent has experienced exceptional economic performance over the past 2 decades. Sometimes we hear people deriding the notion of Africa rising. But I think we should all be proud of that record. It has been exceptional in the history of nations, particularly with the exception of the Asian countries, attaining growth rates consistently of 5%, and in many cases, significantly exceeding that, with at least 7 of the countries in the continent belonging to the category of the fastest growing countries in the world. These countries have been cited on many occasions, include Cote d'Ivoire, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Equatorial Guinea, Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Niger, Liberia. The growth in many of these countries has been unprecedented in their own histories. But the other side of the coin is that with the rapid slowing down of growth since 2014, we have also realized that there has been inherent weaknesses in this pattern of growth. Truly, the continent has not attained the desired level of transformation which could render its economies resilient in the face of the global headwinds that we have witnessed since 2014. Also, on the positive side, on the side of the positive side of the coin, despite the skepticism that is expressed about the governance in the continent, we have also witnessed tremendous improvements on the governance landscapes. We can easily count so many countries that have embraced what the French call alternance, multi-party systems, and the limits on presidential terms. Today in West Africa, the ECOWAS countries, I think they're number 16. So we have only one country which has yet to put in place the term limits. I think you know about it. My own country, the Gambia, was the last one. It was among the 2, but now we have embraced the limits on the presidential terms. And I think the recent Gambian experience should offer us a lot of encouragement that democracy can win in Africa. But on the other side, as I have said, the growth history of Africa has dimmed. We also have a lot of challenges with respect to entrenching democracy. There are still a lot of cases where we are experiencing reversals. Conflicts are rearing their head again. And to make that worse, we are also experiencing the increasing trend of extremism. It is also notable that our democratic processes continue to show some important weaknesses. We tend to equate democratic processes with elections. And the electoral processes, as you know, are also subject to manipulation. We have seen this also in cases. Sometimes it's dangerous to mention them, but I think Kenya could be seen as one of them, where despite important positive developments, the weaknesses of the electoral system, they have been exposed. But we believe that this should not be a cause for us to go back to the days of optimism. I think what they should prompt us is to always go back to the drawing board. For the growth performance, I think there is consensus now that going back to that drawing board means focusing on how we can attain true transformation in the continent, how we can diversify the basis of growth and prosperity in the continent. And I believe that this is not rocket science. And over the past few years, such diagnoses have been made. We believe that what has been lacking is for the will to implement those solutions which have been put forward that you are all aware of. On the governance front, we also have to go back to the drawing board and examine critically the achievements that we have made on the continent, the role of partnerships, and how we could address some of those weaknesses. And I believe that with true partnership with the governments and people of Africa, we should be able to address those problems. There are other issues we need to look at as we reflect on the future of governance in Africa. In conclusion, I would like to draw attention in that regard to three critical areas that I believe, if addressed effectively, the future of governance in Africa will be assured. These are three areas, or I may add fourth one: true responsiveness of leaders to the aspirations of their people, development of robust institutions, enhancing trust, social contract, and innovation. I think we will have time to discuss in detail all these four tenets, and I will not like to take more time on them. This is just to draw your attention as we reflect on the future of governance to some of those four critical areas that we believe will contribute to the entrenchment of governance in Africa. So in conclusion, I believe that despite the challenges that the continent is facing now, its future is bright. And we believe that one of the critical factors of that is to put in place more robust, more responsive, and more innovative democratic processes in place. And to curb this, we believe that the majority of the African countries are now enjoying stable governance. The works that have been done by IDEA, by the Mo Ibrahim Foundation, by UNDP, shows that today the majority of Africans are enjoying peace and stability and more responsive governments to their needs. So as we explore the future of governance in our continent, what we must also consider are the pull and push factors that are now defining the trajectory of governance in our continent. We would like to end by reassuring you of the commitment of UNDP and probably the UN system to accompany the governments, the people, the civil society of Africa in the search for more democratic regimes in the continent. I thank you for your kind attention, and I wish you all very productive deliberations over the next 2 days. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.